Greetings and welcome, brave citizens of our new world. I am Toronto's greatest supervillain and evil genius, Dr. Terawatt. This is our Layer 3.0, and today is day 16 of our VEDA challenge. VEDA vlogging every day in April, and as per usual, around this time of the month, it stops being like, hey, I get to make a cool video every day, and starts being just like a part of my life that I have to do now. Anywho, Dr. Terawatt, the Broadway Musical. How long until? You know, I actually don't even have an answer for this, but the idea of me being in a Broadway musical, a musical of any kind, let alone one on Broadway, it tickles me. Doc can/will you snuggle a Cyndaquil or a Slackoth, seeing as how it's a sloth Pokemon? What if I could, I think, would be that. And Slacking all the way. Actually, Slacking was one of the Pokemon that was a part of my, team that I had when I was going to cons to, battle people as a gym leader. Get people badges at my table. Is your real name Jeff?
My name is Jeff.
No, it's not. This is dorky of me to say, no shame, but have you ever watched the latest Kamen Rider called X-Aid? It's literally doctors with video games. Every day I get about 3 to 4 people asking me if I've seen some iteration of Kamen Rider's ridiculous thing, which I don't watch that stuff. Very much like trying to get into Homestuck, there's so much content to try and get into, and it's all pseudo-related, there's a lot of stuff you can skip but shouldn't because it gets referenced later, and I just don't have the time. Taking over the world's a full-time job, dude. So with the new armor, will you be able to pull off the superhero landing? I'm gonna try. Hello, Dr. Terawatt, I have some very important questions. What would people, or corrupted archangels in my case, what the frick, really? Be doing if people beyond the reaches of society were to attack our world? Also, do you happen to know any villains in the Sacramento area? I've never been to Sacramento, nor do I know of any villains in that area. And we do have planned defenses for extraplanar threats, yes. Any words for Dr. Apocalypse? I don't necessarily have any words set aside for third-rate subpar evil geniuses. Favorite TV show? I think I've asked this in the past. Yeah, I get asked this kind of thing all the time. I'm not sure if you are one of the people, but in terms of favorite TV show, right now I'm watching The Last Kingdom. It's on its 2nd season, slowly being released on Netflix. It's super fun. I strongly recommend watching it if you get a chance. I absolutely love it. I hear politicians use the line, "it'll create jobs," a lot, to take a rather long question and shorten it, helping people to keep jobs who work at a task that is quickly becoming outdated and creating more jobs by building more soon-to-be-outdated things. Or do we lay off all the people who are doing a job that will become outdated soon and create new jobs doing a new technology that the public isn't ready to welcome? That's a funny thing, Sasame-chan, because the public being ready for something isn't something I consider almost ever. For example, we could move away from fossil fuel and nuclear-based power systems and move towards fusion. That is a thing, not even green energy, like solar or wind or any of those things, which would work. We could move on to something that is just literally just light years ahead of where we are right now, which is fusion, a system that has been proven to work, a system that has been used and tested and functions, but will never be implemented or talked about and is constantly being squashed down and swept aside by larger people with interests in older technologies to ensure that it never picks up. The public being ready for a technology is literally based in only whether or not the public has been informed about said thing in a positive fashion. I'll give you a quick example. A lot of cars that we have nowadays run on gasoline, fossil fuels. Very few of them run on just electricity. If you wanted people to be more interested in electric cars, you could say put together a movie, off the top of my head, Fast and the Furious Volt, you could call it. And the movie would be about how there's this cool electric car that these guys got, like one of the Teslas or whatever, and how it is faster and handles better and is more durable and is just in every way better than every other car that they've used on the series of movies, and just flat out outpaces all of these other cars by a large margin. And then everyone's like, yeah, wow, those cars are cool. And then they'll have commercials about how cool those cars are. A few celebrities will appear on popular talk shows and talk about how great the cars are. Just the right people in the right areas will talk about how the car is nice. About how electric cars are now the new standard. Everyone will start picking them up. Everyone will start talking about how great they are. By and large, whether or not the public likes something or is ready for something depends entirely on what the media says they like and are ready for. a really small percentage of our population is capable of forming complex opinions on their own, and usually relies on the media to just tell them what they should or should not be interested in. So the people that are working in factories that are building older, outdated technology, like, gasoline-guzzling cars, etc., can just as easily be retrained and put to work in factories that make the newer stuff. I like the idea of just retraining people onto similar jobs that just use newer technology and moving them forward. I do not like holding society back just because a bunch of people have jobs in something that is obsolete. And if they can't be trained in those new things, then the government can just as easily take care of them until they're able to transition into something that is related or something else. I've actually been there and gone through that transition. It's not impossible. How would you treat artificial citizenry such as AI in your world? Well, and that's the thing, like, I don't want to implement a lot of AI in the world that I'm creating. The machines are mainly going to be in, like, some workforce areas that are dangerous for humans or have just, like, why can't machines do that? And enforcement division. But let's say, for example, we do start developing individual AIs and growing them much like we do people, teaching them how to best behave, etc., and making really great people, because you could make really great people if you put them in an environment and you just took the time to teach them everything that they needed to know to be good people. Understanding, patient, wise, and then letting them off into the world. Their rights would probably be different considering that they're not humans. So they would have rights, but I think that they would be different. Not less, just different. Given that a few places are having their tax periods ending recent or coming up, do you have a basic idea of how taxes will work in your new world? Oh yeah, I've had a really basic idea about this for a while now, and that is to get rid of income tax and just increase sales tax. What's funny is if you look this up, you only need to increase sales tax a very small amount in order to accommodate the income tax that people have to pay. And by getting rid of income tax, you are then proportionally taxing everyone pretty much equally. So the rich people that are buying big expensive things are paying their 15%, 17%, or whatever that would be. The people that are in the poor areas buying cheaper items would still be paying that 15 to 17% tax. And this gets rid of things like tax loopholes for the rich. This gets rid of things like tax breaks for the wealthy. This gets rid of things like the people getting paid cash under the table not paying taxes, illegal immigrants not paying taxes, like tax evasion in general, the amount of money the government spends on having systems and infrastructures in place, buildings, paying rent on those buildings, paying people in that whole division to enforce and chase down people who do not pay their taxes, to just monitor everyone's taxes. Like the CRA in Canada would pretty much implode if we got rid of income tax and just had sales tax. Like the amount of money and resources it would free up on the government side, and the amount of people that would be taxed who are not currently being taxed on the citizen side, would just make a huge amount of money that the government could then throw around to improving infrastructure and a bunch of other things. I'm not actually sure exactly where it would put our percentage, but like the people that want to get rid of income tax and just increase sales tax say that it's somewhere around 17, 18%. And then the people that want income tax to still remain say that it's going to be somewhere like crazy, like 30% or something like that, which is ridiculous in my opinion. Anyways, that is one of the things that I thought would be a really great idea. Hey, I know I asked before, but seriously, how are the Raptors? How did you deal with the claws? The lab made drop bears to keep leaving scratch marks in the bunker, and its annoying administrator Dutch. I really wish people would proofread their questions before they hit enter, but hey, I also had the wrong question displaying yesterday when I was doing stuff because I was tired, so eh. With regards to the Raptors, I haven't seen them since I ran into that one at the Black Hat Lounge, and like many other problems just in general, it's one of those things that I hope that if I ignore it, it just goes away. So brobots will definitely be a thing, but what about robomantic partners? Since love is a series of neurological signals derived from emotions, and your robots will be able to feel emotions, would this be acceptable? Would there be any laws around it, or would it be like dating a human? But here's the thing. Autoerotica, as I think it should be called, would definitely be a thing. People that find a greater amount of comfort dating a machine with emotions rather than dating another human being, and machines that choose to have meaningful relationships with humans rather than other machines, are always going to be a thing. And much like, same-sex marriages or inter-race marriages, there's going to be people who are going to make a big stink about it, but why not? There's already sex robots being worked on and designed around the world. There's going to be prejudices about this, no doubt. But I think that it would be perfectly fine. I assume there would be different legislation surrounding that because the robots would have different, not less, but different rights than humans. I guess we just kind of figure it out as we go along. Dear Doc, what great villains in fiction or history do you admire? No Heart. No Heart from the Care Bears. Care Bears was such a ridiculous show, but No Heart I have such a deep respect for. Just the look and the castle and the cauldron and like the main room that he worked in and the hood, just everything about him was so classic villain. I loved it. I know it's probably not your type of game, but have you ever considered playing Stardew Valley and making Evil Incorporated farm? I personally would find it hilarious watching you attempt such a thing. Stardew Valley and a lot of other sort of 2D exploration Minecraft-esque games I have looked into. I haven't really played a lot of them, but have since sort of decided not to go along with that because I feel like the 2D thing is very limiting. At least it is for me. Has anyone really been far, even as decided to use even go want to do look more like? What even is that? Is that a sentence? Warden, what the hell, man? I think I sent him a text-to-speech thing a while ago, and he might be having some trouble getting that configured. Okay, wait for me to come over and help you out with that, because I don't know what... If you're using the text-to-speech thing to use your computer, stop. Because I think that's going to cause more problems than it's going to solve. I'll send you a sexy keyboard, and... ask me another question tomorrow, because that is... wow. Under the world rule of the Terawatt, will you have countries, or will it be one big world with no borders, or will there be regions? We need to work together to keep the world happening, or else just let nature reclaim itself from the pestilence that is the human race. Recluse, I know as a swamp witch you would absolutely love that last thing. Just humanity sinking into the dirt and nature sort of reclaiming itself. But to answer the earlier half of your question, yes, there is going to be no separate countries, but much like how Canada has provinces and the United States has different states, there are going to be still regions where people are going to be like the Europe region and the North American region and maybe even sub-regions within that. It is all going to be one country the world over, just sort of sliced up into smaller regions just for management purposes mostly. Any form of dyslexia, Doctor, earns from this lifelong book nerd a sincere expression of sorrow and regret. I'm relieved that your struggle with it is in any way successful. Your love of classical music for relaxation makes me suggest this YouTube search, The Evil Overlord's Classical Mixtape. I'll have to check that out, actually. Now, my question. Thanks to my Asperger's and my immense time isolated from human contact, I find being around these chaotic beings unsettling at best and horrifying to the point of blackout at worst. How does one deal with human beings when one does not feel like one, even remotely? See, now, this is something that I have actually grappled with, even at least in a small amount in the past, which is like a faint agoraphobia, i.e. I don't feel comfortable going outside. And here's the thing, like many other forms of fear and difficulty, the first thing that I would recommend is finding people, and this is going to be hard, and it's going to be a lot of trial and error, but I need you to work on finding people that understand you. People that even understand you a little bit, that can help you manage your time outside working with other people. I'm not a big fan of human beings, don't get me wrong, but I have found such extraordinary humans amongst the masses that I simply can't get enough of, that I love spending time with them. They inspire me, they want me to be a better person, they want me to do more and create more, and they push me to do more and create more and to be better. And like I said, I absolutely just can't get enough of spending time with these people. They're so fantastic, but there's so few of them. So like I said, it's going to be a lot of trial and error finding one of these people, but once you find one of these people, be patient, slowly introduce them to what you are, who you are, and have them help you get out of your comfort zone. Because much like my dyslexia, if I don't read at all for long periods of time, it becomes harder and harder and harder for me to read. But the more reading I do, the easier and faster and more comfortable it becomes. It's much like training yourself with like lifting weights and things like that. Like the more you do it, the easier it gets. You're not going to reach a point where it's not going to be a problem at all. You'll just reach a point where it'll be so easy that you might not notice it. Speaking as a person who doesn't feel like a human being, or like at least doesn't feel like he fits in with other human beings, I can tell you that this is definitely something that can work, or at least it has worked for me. Okay, Doc, if you had to run against Rob Ford, you probably would have won. However, in the unlikely event you one day win the Toronto mayoral election, how over your head are you going to be? Your operation, as ambitious as it is pretty small scale now. Should we start making tributes of depends before you get into office to avoid issues of evacuation of waste due to fear? No, I don't think so. That's the thing. I thought about this when I was legitimately considering running for mayor in Toronto. Like, what would I react as if I won? And here's my answer. The mayor, as much experience as they have with everything that they do in the city, they have a team of people that they work with that are from each of the little districts in Toronto that would tell them the things that need to happen and what they would want to do or need to do in order to resolve those issues. And the mayor themselves can think, okay, well, now that I'm mayor, nobody's brought this concern to me, but I think I should do XYZ to make the city a better place. And I think a lot of what the mayor is management of those concerns and dealing with resource management and sort of just solving each of the problems as they come to you, as well as planning for the problems before they happen. It's a lot of micromanagement, and I've got a lot of experience in doing that, at least in my personal opinion, running this organization and running with as many people that I have working with me as I currently have. I know that I don't possess the level of experience that some people would prefer to see, but I think that actually that gives me an edge. Because existing outside of the Toronto political system has given me a unique outlook. It has given me a fresh pair of eyes on any of the problems that I would come across, and then if that's something that doesn't need work or has been a problem for a long time and can't be resolved easily, then I can look to my team of people that are working with me that can advise me on what should or should not be done, etc. Trusty advisors, very, 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 very important. But I think I'd make a great leader for the city, personally, and I would absolutely come into work every day wearing my lab coat. And that is all the time that we have for today. So, if you have any more questions or concerns, leave them in the comment section down below. And until next time, my brave citizens, I am Toronto's greatest supervillain and evil genius, Dr. Terawatt. This is our Layer 3.0, and I will see you tomorrow on our next VEDA. End of line.